Okay, in the previous session, we started with the marketing, we completed with the internal environment and the micro environment. Okay, now before going to this macro environment, now as far as this policies of the organization or the control of organization is considered. Okay, now whether the PPT is visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
You might have come across the news in the newspapers, or maybe you might have read, you might have heard, you might have viewed on the television that many of the companies, okay, automobile companies specifically. Now, if you take, for example, like Maruti Suzuki, which is the largest automaker in India and produces multiple cars by minute. Okay. So in July 2020, the Indian manufacturer recalled a batch of Wagoner R model, which used the 1.0 liter petrol engine along with a batch of all petrol variants of the Baleno. Now the season was faulty. The season was faulty fuel pump motor that would lead to a stalled engine, or the vehicle would not have been started. So this was the problem with it. That's why this company went for a recall, which included a total of 1,32,885 vehicles. Okay, you might have come across such type of news. This is one example which I shared. You also might have heard about a General Electric, or you might have heard about Ford company, Hyundai, other companies also. So here, when we speak about the control, okay, when such type of decisions are involved, the problem might have occurred at the functional level, isn't it? At the production level, when they go for the assembling. But when such type of decisions have to be taken, then there is a trade-off between the brand name, or what would be the perception of the customers, how they will view it, and against the profits. If the company just thinks that maybe if we go for a recall, it may bounce back because the competitors will always have a move ahead with reference to this recall. But the companies, they did not think from this aspect, because not now, then in future, when the problems would have occurred, okay, then there would have been customer complaints, or maybe the customers would have been disappointed and shifted to some other competitor product. So here, instead of thinking in this perspective, the company thought that better we think in terms of corporate social responsibility, where genuinely they went for recall for the betterment of the society. And ultimately, even the customers thought it from the positive perspective, that the company takes the cognizance of the new angles which crop up, or the problems. See, nobody is perfect in this world. Okay, so even customers realize when the company genuinely takes such type of decision, the customers, they do welcome. They got the replacements also. So here it depends upon the company, the internal policies, how they come up with the different policies and how they convince the customers. So going for a recall and convincing the customers, the company took a huge efforts. These automobile companies, they take huge efforts in this. So this was one of the example with reference to the policies or the control of the organization. Similarly, we can think of other aspects also, where the company thinks of such type of decisions, where the problems or the root cause maybe are at a very micro level. Okay, but when they move ahead, then it takes a form where the corporate decision makers or corporate managers are involved, and the management takes the decision and moves ahead. So even a small problem has to be looked into. Now, moving ahead with the macro environment, the term macro, okay, micro is related to the firm, while macro has much broader perspective. Now, here we have the demographic forces, the economic forces, the natural forces, technological forces, political forces, and cultural forces, which are not under the control of the organization as such. Here, the company can think of coping up or molding the policies, the internal policies, or adjusting with these external environments. The company cannot control them. And that's why we say this is a macro environment. These are macro environmental aspects or factors which dominate the firm. Now, here, as far as the subject marketing is considered, we are restricted with the marketing environment. How, from the perspective of marketing, these factors affect the marketing function. Now, the first and foremost is the demographic factor. Whether the PPT is visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, the first and the foremost point here is the worldwide population growth. Whether the population it affects marketing? Yes, it does. Now, India is the second India is the second most populated country in the world. In January 22nd, India's population crossed 1.41 billion. Okay. Now here, this population is related with the sources. We are speaking in terms of certain resources which are needed to support the human life on this earth. We know that the certain resources are limited in nature. Hence, the need arises to think about the sustainability. So people look out for sustainable options today. If you think about the fuel consumption, if you think about the electricity, petrol, diesel, okay. So here, or conservation of forest, trees, all this has made the marketers think about more sustainable options today. Now, solar energy, that is the projects related with reference to solar, they are in the growth phase as far as India is considered. Here, the government is also supporting by providing various subsidies. Now, the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, it supports this project. The subsidies are available on installation of grid connected solar rooftops or power plants where 30% of its the benchmark of the cost can be regained from the government. So here for the marketers, this has opened up tremendous opportunities to think about the issue of sustainable living or offering the sustainable products to the customers. When the pressure increases on the resources, then naturally the next option available is to conserve whatever is there with us. If you think of wind energy, the increase in the population, it also has given rise to concerns with reference to preservation of our ecology, which has given rise to the recycling concept. What it is a process of converting the waste materials into new materials or the new objects. Now, this also helps to reduce the pollution of water, pollution of air, soil, etc. Now, this recyclable material includes varieties like glasses, paper, cardboards, metals, plastic, tires, textiles, electronics. Every aspect is involved in this. So when it comes to this population aspect, okay, increase in the population, so it also increases the world of opportunities for the marketers to think about satisfying the need of the people by exploring new mechanism or new offerings to this masses. The next point is population age mix. Now here, if we consider India, India has more than 50% of its population below the age of 25 and more than 65% below the age of 35. The average age of an Indian is around 28.4 years. Okay, so here, why we are speaking about the population age mix? Because here again, this population is grouped into different categories like infants, preschool, school age children, teens, young adults aged between 25 to 40, middle-aged adults aged between 40 to 65, and older adults whose age is above 65. Now, we all, or the different groups, okay, they have their own needs to be satisfied. When a person in our life cycle also, when we move from one phase of life to the other phase of life, we need different set of needs wherein the marketers satisfy these needs by giving certain products or offerings. So here for marketers, the most populous age groups, they shape the marketing environment. So just now, if we see India, where below age of 25 constitutes most of the population, then it certainly will give rise to those offerings which are demanded or which are needed by this age group. Like we can say it's with reference to arts, entertainment, internet, telecom or mobiles, wireless mobile devices, smartphones, computers, electronics, music, sports, etc. If you consider the automobiles also. Okay, so here this population age mix. Now against this, if you see Japan, where most of them, they are above 55 or 60 plus. So the needs will be very much different, and that would be shaped by the marketing environment here. So the required offerings for that particular age varies with their age group, and the marketers explore the opportunities from one category to the other category. As the offering changes, you will find, or the marketers think of the prospective demand for their offerings in the market. Now, many of the multinational companies, those who cross the geographical boundaries and enter into international markets, okay, how do they enter the international markets? What are the factors which determine? So this is one of the important factor, that is the demographic factors. Unless and until there is demand, the companies do not think of pushing the product with reference to that nation. So this is one of the important criteria for the companies. Now moving ahead is the ethnic markets. Now countries vary in ethnic and racial makeup also. Even if you take India as a country, we do have different states, and every state represents its own ethnic and racial makeup. Each group has certain specific wants, they have their preferences, they have their buying habits with reference to the food they eat, the clothing, the festivals, the celebrations, etc. So we as a human beings are mostly shaped since our childhood, okay, with our culture, our society, we are brought up. So somewhere, no doubt, each and every one of us has influence as we grow, as we have our friends, colleagues, peers, peer group is there. And a person gets no doubt influenced, but still somewhere we are attached to those roots. Now, the companies direct their products and promotions to one or more of these groups. So here, the marketers, they take this aspect into consideration when they think of offering the product, when they are promoting the product, they take this into consideration. Now, wherever the cities, they are cosmopolitan, for them it becomes much more easier for the marketers to penetrate, as tapping the customers becomes much more easier here. So if you see the celebrations, if you see the festivals, the closing, they differ from one state to other state. The people, they speak the languages, we have the local languages. You might have seen the even the promotions, the advertisements, if you see, they are highly influenced by the local channels. So here, when a company enters into any particular geographic nation or geographical area, geographical sector, it has to map the needs of the people with that of the offering. They have to bridge the gap. And today, communication through the medium, through advertising, maybe television advertising, the most popular one, okay, or maybe radio advertising, print advertising, they go for the local taste and preference of the customers. And hence the importance of ethnic markets. Now, the next is the educational groups. How does the educational groups affect the marketing? Now, there are illiterates, there are high school dropouts, there are high school degrees, the college degrees or professionals. So here on the basis of the educational groups also the needs are shaped. So maybe if a person is a voracious reader, he may be uh, always purchasing the books, he may be looking for the books. If the person is into a business, professional degrees, he is shaped by those needs. Maybe if you see he's a manager, the clothings, they are shaped according to the needs of his profession. If he is a blue collar worker, then he has a different set of needs. Today, if we take into consideration the services sector, like schools or colleges, okay, most of them, they have shifted to the online mode, and new options or it has opened up new avenues. If you see the online teaching or the online learning is one of the businesses or the service sector which is doing very well. For example, if you consider Byju's, okay, which is into this group, online learning, they are doing very well. Now, because of this pandemic, it has opened up to new avenues. It has given the opportunities, and the marketers are tapping those opportunities. That is very important to bridge the gap. Okay, where personalized attention is given through online mode also, with the aggressive marketing, they are grabbing the market share. So for such type of businesses, it matters more. Moving to the next point is the household patterns. Now, if we check the traditional form of Indian household patterns, where we used to have joint families, even today in many of the rural areas, if you see, we have the joint families. In urban areas also we do have, but day by day, if you see, the form is changing from the joint families to the nuclear families. Now, each set of household patterns have distinct set of needs and buying habits. If you have more people in a single family, maybe their needs are different. Now, how does this affect? If you go for the packaging, a simple example of packaging, okay, many of the marketers, they introduced small pack size. Now, why this was introduced? Now, those with the single person or just two persons in the family, their needs are very different than the regular household families. They need small apartment house. They need inexpensive and smaller appliances, furniture, or food packages. Take any of the categories, their needs are different. They will not go for the high packaged foods or highly expensive goods. There is no need. And hence, small packages were introduced. Small packets were introduced by the manufacturers to cater to the need of this particular segment. Against this, if you see bulk packaging, family packs, what we say, were introduced. Now, the next is the geographical shift in the population, migration. Where we see that many of the states, they are, many of the cities, sorry, they are cosmopolitan, like Chandigarh, Bangalore, Pune. Okay, where you have most of the people, they are migrated from different parts of the country. And this shifts this influences the local taste and preference of the people. Location makes a difference as far as the demand for goods and services is considered. Today, irrespective of any caste, any creed, any race, we all celebrate all the festivals. Now, people just need an opportunity for celebrations to enjoy the festivals. Now, marketers are also not left out with this. If you have seen, maybe it's a national festival like we had the Republic Day, there are offers, especially if you consider the electronic goods or the high premium products. You will find that marketers push the products by means of promoting the goods. Maybe they will give you some discounts, they will attract the customers, they will give some free gifts on these occasions. And this mantra has been much more successful. Even in retailing, it works. Even the digital platforms are using this promotional tool. If you consider the retailer outlets like Big Bazaar or D-Mart or any other superstore, okay, they just have the ad comes with the tagline that maybe from this to this date you will get discounts on the purchases. So this is what they're pushing the product through the different promotions in the market. So in totality, if we consider all of these factors, there is shift from a mass market to micro markets. When all these factors are combined, it presses the marketers to shift from mass to the micro markets. That is, considering the differentiation in age, in sex, ethnic backgrounds into consideration, the education, the lifestyle, all these characteristics they take into account and try to serve the market. Now, each individual as well as the group has its own strong preferences and is targeted by use of communication. And today, media is one of the strongest mode of communication. Maybe it may be through the social networking website, it may be through advertising on television, be on the local FM channels or the newspapers, that is the print media. Marketers try to push the offering through these promotional tools and try to reach the target audience. So they use all the means to enter and reach the target audience. Now, can you think of any examples as far as these demographic factors are considered, which the marketers have been using as a strong points? Or some of the examples where these demographic factors dominate? Did you understand my question? Hello? Now, if you consider the population age mix, okay, we find a variety of offerings. We go through the ads. We see there are a number of ads, okay, but whether everybody is the target segment for that offering? No. So here the requirements are different. Let's move to the next point. Nobody wants to discuss any example related to demographic pattern or demographic features? Okay, we move ahead with the technological environment. One of the very important factor. Now, technology changes with the innovation. The companies spend huge amount in R&D, that is research and development. This is very important wing or important aspect of an organization. It is the most dramatic forces which shapes the people's lives. Now, with every new technology, when the offering comes with a new technology, it destructs the existing one or washes off the existing one. Now, those companies which ignore these technological innovations, they are left out. They are not able to sustain. So, ignoring the technology in today's era will cost for the company. Now, transistor hurt the vacuum tube industry. Xeroxography hurt the carbon paper business. Autos hurt the railroads, and television hurt the newspapers. Now, today, the digitization, okay, you see, most of the people, they don't want to read anything because easily you get the things through the digital medium. The marketers should always monitor the trends in the technology, the pace of change, the opportunities for innovation, the R&D, especially the competitor strategy has to be looked into by the organization. Now, whether marketing drives the technology and the technology drives the marketing is a question in itself. The role of R&D is to always innovate something new, to check for better options, to go for ahead with the new technology, embrace new technology, satisfy the need of the customer by bridging the gap in between the existing offering and to take it to a new height. That is what is the role of R&D. And when a company comes up with a new technology, it becomes a tool for marketers, for the marketing department, okay, to promote the offering with the edge on this technology. That's why both of them, they go hand on hand. Now, accelerating the pace of technological change. Whenever the company thinks of having ideas, any technological innovations start with the idea generation. But these ideas should also be realistic. They should not just be the dreams. The objective should be clear. Day by day, okay, the marketers think of technology driven offerings to be offered to the customers so that the convenience is met. That is one thing. Second thing is, ever increasing competition necessitates the companies to think about some differentiation strategy with the help of technology. There are unlimited opportunities for innovation. When one thinks of innovating or coming up with the ideas, many of them, like if you take the field of biotechnology, if you think about the electronics, if you think about robotics, okay, there are no boundaries. There are many opportunities here. The companies are harnessing the power of virtual reality. Now, if you see today, we say it's a era of Internet of Things. We say that it's an era of digitization. We have smart cities, we have smart homes, we have smart cars, we have smart gadgets today. If you think of mobile handsets, and if you just go for the graph of new innovations, new offerings which the companies are offering with the help of technology, the companies always thinks of bridging the gaps here. If you take any of the electronic gadgets which are driven by technology, every now and then you find that the company is embarking on this technological part. If you take into consideration automobile, be it two-wheeler market or a four-wheeler, the company focuses more on how better is the technological innovative part. And these companies, they also take efforts. They move ahead with this. They design various apps. There is hardly any segment in the industry is left out where technology has not played a pivotal role. If you take the offerings, if you take any sector, if you think of the services sector like banking, if we connect with the technology, the internet, the digitization, within few seconds you can transact, you can exchange, you can pay the bills through various banking apps, or maybe through internet banking. You can complete the task. If you think of B2B business today, you can manage the suppliers, you can manage the customers. In case of B2B, you can manage the payments also. So this is the convenience which the technology has offered. Now, every company has its own R&D budgets. It depends upon the organization or the company how much emphasis it gives to this R&D department. Now here, electronic gadgets, any of the electronic gadgets, yes. Here technology is one of the important criteria, important factor. If you take any of the automobiles, yes, they play a very important role. If you have the mobile handsets, yes, technology plays a role here. If we take into consideration the healthcare industry, there also we can see that the technology has played a very important role. In case of marketing communications, also there are many options available as far as the technology is considered. Today, if we think of advertising, if we think of internet ads popping up, the social media marketing. So here, because of this technology, within a fraction of seconds, the marketers can reach the target customers or this target segment very easily. So if you take into consideration the marketing mix tool, like any offering is there, the promotional factor is there, or the distribution channel, like the digital mode today, we have e-platforms. Okay, because of the technology only this has been possible to bridge the gap between the customers and the manufacturers. If technology would not have been there, then it would not have been possible to bridge the gap. Now, if you consider, I spoke about the population pressure. Okay, worldwide population growth is there, and sustainable mechanisms. The manufacturers are thinking of sustainable solutions, coming up with the sustainable products. So even there, the technology has played a role. When we think of solar panels, it's about solar energy. We think of wind energy. It's all related to the technological innovation. When we consider the conservation of our ecology, now the increased regulation has also played a vital role to preserve the ecology, to conserve the ecology. The government agencies, they have the power to investigate, to have bans on certain unsafe products which have been expanded through the eras. Now here, these rules and regulations laid down by the government has made the companies or the manufacturer think about new options. If we see today, we see that the plastic is banned. That's why the companies thought of switching on to some other options. So the concept of recycling came into focus. No doubt, if the idea is innovative, okay, the company comes up with the innovative offering, maybe with reference to medicine or any other thing, but if it is not safe or it's not healthy for the people, then what's the use? That's why we have the rules and regulations laid down by the government, which has to be adhered by the companies. Now, these marketers have to be aware of these rules and regulations while proposing, developing, and launching of the new products. They have to take care about this. The competitors are always, they keep an eye. If they find that the marketers, they are not taking cognizance of these aspects, then they will spread the popularity about the offering. And hence the marketers should see to it that they adhere to the norms laid down by the government. Now, any doubts here as far as demographic factors are considered? Now, technology is one of the important aspect where innovations will expand the business, but at the same time, okay, when the competitor comes up with the technology driven product, it's a threat for the companies. Now, in the previous session, we had discussed about Tata Nano. When the news spread in the market, that's it's a 1 lakh car. Think about the competitors. It's not possible for the competitors to come up with such type of offering with the low priced car. Now, also, if you see, many of the companies, okay, those who are driven by innovation are moving ahead with the electric vehicles. But many of them, they still have the threat. They have not shifted. They are still thinking to move ahead. Those companies which do not take cognizance of the technology or improve themselves with their R&D, it becomes difficult for them to sustain in the market. Now, in the next session, we will discuss the actual some of the examples, how the companies, they have come up with the innovations as far as this technological environment is considered. Now, any doubts? Hello?
No, ma'am.
Whether anybody wants to discuss anything as far as the technological environment is considered? Any information sharing? Actually, it should have be interactive session, no? Hello. So we will stop here today. In the next section, we will discuss the technological environment ahead. Thank you.